Welcome back, everybody. It's your boy PokeGainz, and today we're going to talk about somewhat of a spoiler. If you have not seen the Spider-Man No Way Home, and if you have not seen it, where have you been? You better have been at work or something, because you kind of need to go see that movie. That movie's pretty awesome. Now, in the mid-credit scene, we see, again, spoilers. We see that Eddie Brock from the Venomverse get basically pushed back to his own universe, but before he leaves a piece of the symbiote just sitting on the bar, just leaving questions up in the air, right? So today we're going to talk about a few different theories of what could possibly happen with that little piece of symbiote just now in the MCU. Now, I've chosen 5 different previous hosts that I think would be like an awesome addition to the MCU, and the first one being, of course, Flash Thompson. In the comics, he becomes Venom in the military. He lost his legs, and then they pretty much made him into a weapon for the military, where the symbiote was able to give him legs and all these, of course, Venom powers. But of course, he had to use a specific drug to kind of control it as much as he could. He still had the thirst for it, but he was able to control it and only wear the symbiote suit for only 48 hours at a time. Now, where I think they can implement that into the MCU is by our current Flash Thompson, which I don't know, they will have to do some adjusting to this guy, because he does not look like the person that would be wearing a symbiote suit, unless they do a lot of CGI or something like that. So what they can do is, in a few years, right now they just got the symbiote just there waiting to be used in the future. Whatever they feel like they want to use it for, they can reintroduce it in like a year, 3, 4, 5 years. And then at this point, either Flash has finished school, or he dropped out of school because he couldn't keep up with the grades or something like that. He joins the military. Or he finishes school, couldn't find a job, and still joins the military. And in the military, he joins one of the big fights, one of the big battles of the Avengers, maybe Secret Wars, who knows. He loses a limb, legs, however they want to do it, and then they join him with the symbiote of the Venom that they find. Because maybe it's in Mexico right now, maybe they find it later, and then they study it and whatnot, good times, and join it with the boy Flash. And now he becomes Agent Venom. My second choice, I think this would be so freaking cool if they was to give it to none other than the Merc with the mouth, Deadpool. Now, in the comics, the Secret Wars, it was said that Deadpool was the first human host of the Venom symbiote, but he had basically detached from Deadpool because he wanted to kill Spider-Man. So, of course, Deadpool doesn't kill Spider-Man, because in his mind, that's his best friend. So, with that, the symbiote decided to leave because, first of all, Deadpool's a little crazy, which could also play into the MCU of why the symbiote becomes a little crazy and demented, because it's Deadpool. So, how they can introduce this in the MCU is they can have Deadpool and his pregnant wife, or his wife and his kid, are vacationing in Mexico, and of course there is the symbiote, and its symbiote is like trying to attach itself to Deadpool, and somehow he learns that he needs to go to New York to figure out a way to remove it, or whatever the case may be, or it sends him to New York because the symbiote knows who Peter Parker is, because it's interdimensional. It knows things of different universes.
80 billion light years of hive knowledge across universes would explode your tiny little brain.
Because of the post-credit scene in Venom 2, it shows us that it knew who Peter Parker was, even though Eddie Brock had no idea. So bringing it to New York, and they have a little battle, or they become best friends, or whatever story they want to make. Of course, it's going to be a Deadpool movie, and it will be hilarious. But if it's a Spider-Man movie, it'd be however they want it to be. But I think that'd be a great way to introduce Deadpool into the MCU. The third option could be actually part of the trilogy of the first two, is the Guardians of the Galaxy. And the comics, Flash Thompson takes the symbiote, or wants to take the symbiote, back to its home planet, Clintar. And I don't know if he wants to cleanse it, or if he just wanted to get rid of it back to his home planet. But in the process of that, the Venom symbiote binds with Groot, Rocket Raccoon, and Drax. Where when it joins with Drax, it takes down the entire team, because obviously it's like extra strong. And then it flies itself to its own home planet where it cleanses itself and rejoins Flash. Now in the MCU, what they can actually do is probably add it into like a trilogy, or the other two characters I mentioned can be part of a bigger story. They can start off with Deadpool, bringing him into the MCU, and then they can end up giving it to Flash Thompson, where he joins the Guardians of the Galaxy and goes to send the symbiote back to his home planet, where we can possibly meet Null, who is the king or the god of symbiotes. And we could probably get a little backstory on if he's the one that killed the Celestial and the Guardians of the Galaxy. That would be a good way to introduce that little scene there. Then we can know exactly which Celestial that is. Or what they can do is, if they're on their way to the home planet of the symbiotes, and they can use the Necro Sword to defeat a Celestial, they might be on their way up there to try to battle Null, or to somehow get the sword. That way they can protect their planet against Ursham and or any other Celestial trying to come over and take over the planet. Boom. All up here. All up here. And then we have Mack Gargan, aka Scorpion, who was part of the team, the Dark Avengers, that was created by Norman Osborn after he was appointed head of S.H.I.E.L.D. And he gave Scorpion the Venom that created probably the most badass looking version of a host and the Venom. I think it probably looks the coolest out of all of them. I would love to see this in the MCU. And as we know, in the MCU, Scorpion does exist. We've seen him in the end scene credit of Homecoming, Spider-Man's Homecoming, and we haven't seen him since then. But what we could do, or what we could see, is Val, who's been recruiting different people for what we call the Dark Avengers. We can see her come and recruit Scorpion, and also possibly give him the Venom symbiote, or he could end up with the symbiote before he's recruited. And since he's so in tune with the cannibalism and the violence and everything that the Venom symbiote wants, he's like the perfect host for him. So that could be a good way for him to be able to control it a little bit more than, a lot easier than a lot of people. So let me know, would you want to see that in the MCU? I would. And of course, coming in number 5, I would recommend a Tom Holland Black Spider-Man Venom suit. I mean, we've seen it done before with Tobey Maguire. Maybe we can have it done better. I mean, that's just my opinion. You know, we don't have to have it, you know, dancing and whatnot. We can have another version. We've seen how Tom Holland Spider-Man can be pushed to the dark side, and No Way Home. Maybe if we get the Venom suit, we can see a more grittier, darker version of what we already seen, or a little bit more of what we seen and No Way Home, if he was to combine with the Venom symbiote, which again I would not be opposed to seeing. So yeah, so let me know in the doobly doos down below, who would you want to see with the Venom symbiote? Make sure you guys like and subscribe if you have not already, and hit that bell notification so you know when I am posting another video. So on that note, it's your boy PokeGainz. I'm out.